We actually have a guest with us this morning. We have Eugene Craig, who's a former vice chair of the Maryland Republican Party, and he's also a contributor to News One Now with Roland Martin. Eugene, how you doing?
Pretty good, brother. I'm glad to be on you guys' show.
Yeah, glad to have you here, man. Now, you had a little bit of controversy.
Yeah, difficult week.
Earlier this week. Why don't you, for people who didn't see it, why don't you tell everybody what happened?
So, long story short, this week on the Roland Martin show, News One Now, Doctor, and I put doctor in quotation, Umar Johnson was one of the guests. After his explosive interview with the Breakfast Club last week, the show booked him to get some things cleared up. While some things were cleared up, I think we left more answers than we walked in the room with. More questions than we walked in the room with.
And what questions would those be? Just curious.
Where did he actually get his PhD from? Mm-hmm. Why does he continually to lie to folks that, are gullible and, believe anything? And are like yearning for some kind of black leadership. Mm-hmm. So I see somebody that somewhat doing something, although nobody can define that what in that thing, and they latch on to him, and he's leading them astray.
Right.
And I think that's where our controversy went to a whole different level.
Yeah, and after watching the clip, one of the things that disturbs me in particular is that, the fallacy of argument, that if you disagree with someone who claimed to be leader of a certain community, if you disagree with them, they immediately go to an ad hominem argument and they start name calling. They can't dispute from an intellectual perspective your viewpoint, but they simply start with the name calling, and that's. It's not surprising, but it's just really disheartening, especially if you're talking about someone that they're down for the cause, but yet they want to vilify another African-American person.
Which I find absolutely crazy, absolutely hilarious. And the same breath you talk unity and then, call somebody a coon.
I'm sorry, we don't use that language here on this.
Roland Martin checked him. Yeah, for the record, for anybody that hasn't seen the clip, Umar thought it would be good to call Eugene a coon on national television.
Wow. Yeah, but Uncle Roland, had some words for that.
He sure did. He regulated real quick.
So
very quickly. But you can't in the same tone of breath say, "Oh, I'm here for the advancement of African American folks," and then discount the work of Barry Belafonte and Julian Bond and others, based on who they love. The world just don't work that way.
Yeah, who the hell does he think he is to have the audacity to question people like Harry Belafonte and Julian Bond's dedication to the struggle because they have wives that were not black?
Well, here's what I have to say about this, and I'm begging for someone to ask him this question. And as I was watching the clip, why aren't you committed to a black woman? Because I would have loved to say that, dude, you talk this nonsense about black women and what it says about a man who's committed to one. Well, where's yours? Because he had a scandal last year with a female entertainer. I'll use that term.
Was this where you do your research typically?
Yes. You just tell too much, Todd. I'm working on my thesis.
He's gonna get his PhD from the same place that Umar did.
So, bottom line is this.
Actually, funny thing, my best friend, I was talking to my best friend about it last night. He's like, "Dude, why didn't you go straight to the stripper?" I'm like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Look, good thing I wasn't there. The show would have go to commercial break. Because here's the thing: this guy collects money from people, and he doesn't want scrutiny. He wants to start a school where he has said out of his mouth, "If you are not married or dating to quote an African, you cannot teach at my school. If you are sexually confused, you cannot teach at my school." Bottom line is, this guy is he has some issues, and I think that I've seen him before. He goes out and collects money. He travels around the world. He claims he wants to start this school, which is, to me, I've read his curriculum, and it's going to fail because his mindset is not a stable one, in my opinion.
So is he a Pan-Africanist Reverend Ike?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. He's collected a lot of money, and a woman who dared to question him, he went off on her brutally. I don't know if you remember that. The black woman that he loved so much.
Right. Yeah, Eugene, did he really answer what the status was of the school? I know Roland asked him that. Did he really give a good answer?
He didn't. And Roland tried to press him like, hey, you can start a charter school, you can start a private school.
Right.
But he never, gave a straight answer on the question.
Yeah, because he's raised like $700,000, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. He was, $750,000.
So
the question becomes, all right, if you raise that kind of cash, what you doing with it?
We know what he's doing.
Well, he said
it's all in singles.
I think we do know what he's doing with it.
well, the comment that he made was he can't find a building.
Yeah, in Philadelphia, there are no vacant buildings in Philadelphia. Wow.
This guy is out of his mind. That guy is completely out of his mind.
What's been the response since that interview? What kind of response have you gotten on social media and stuff like that?
Pretty much the Umar Johnson stands have been unleashed on us.
Wow.
Oh yeah, he has some very fanatical folks.
My Twitter notifications, my Facebook notifications have been on fire since the show aired.
Now, how many times have you been called coon, sellout, Uncle Tom, or bug dancer?
Believe it or not that many.
Okay. By his fans?
But I guess within the last 72 hours, thousands of times.
And the thing that kind of really irritated me about this, and I told you this privately, because I know you and I know the work that you've done on behalf of the black community. To insult someone like you who's actually doing the work like that is just mind blowing to me, because that's not who you are as a person.
Absolutely. That's my issue with the Hotep community. You can be as woke as you want, but if you're going to fight systemic racism, you fight systemic racism by changing the system. You change systems by changing policies. And if you aren't actively fighting to change any policy, then you aren't fighting systemic racism, which means that you're just out here swindling people. And that's where, Umar Johnson comes in.
Right. And that was kind of the argument that you were trying to make on the show, that he wasn't either receiving or understanding, that if you want to change things, it's important to implement policies in order to be able to bring the change that you want to see.
Absolutely.
And part of
absolutely
part of the argument that he was trying to simply make too, it sounded that he called the one young lady on the show a feminist, but then he said he called you a dirty word. He called you even worse than coon. He called you a Republican, which is mind blowing to me, because again, you have these groups of people that want to talk about the struggle and from a historical context, but then they discount the historical context in terms of what Republicans have done for race relations. I think you were trying to mention that when you were talking, and if you could just speak to that, because again, he was talking about systemic racism, and the point you were bringing up is how the people in the party have been fighting from a systemic perspective. Can you,
particularly on things like criminal justice reform and stuff like that? Could you speak to that? Just
absolutely. Yeah. So I think we all can agree that the system's pretty messed up here. I think that's something that, black, white, brown, yellow, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, we all can agree the system's messed up. And the only way you fix messed up systems is to change the policies that govern and operate those systems. And so when he said that, white folks have never done anything to deal with systematic racism, I'm looking at him like, dude, we're seeing Congress literally a stone's throw away from us, like literally a 30-second walk across the street. You can't tell me that the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act or the massive funding that HBCUs get, that none of that is considered, fighting systemic racism. It just doesn't work that way.
Right. And it seems like he does a lot of articulation of what the problems are, what he believes the problems are, but I hear very little in the form of actual solutions of how you want to go about fixing it.
Well, I do. I hear him. I listen to him a lot. Unfortunately, he's a separatist. He's a segregationist. And that's his solution. He is all about black this, black that, paint the White House black, all black, blackity, black, black, black.
But he wants to be separate, but he wants to have the benefits of living in this country.
Of course, you figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, at least Marcus.
As I tweeted after the show, I said there's no difference between Umar Johnson and Richard Spencer.
Pretty much,
right.
They're two sides of the same coin.
That's deep.
Two sides of the exact same coin.
I mean, at least Marcus Garvey was trying to get ships to go away.
And it's funny because you mentioned on the show that you identified as an American and an African American, and he used that as if he turned it back like it was an insult for you to say that you identified as an American and an African American.
I'm an American. Listen, I was born here. Born here. With the rights, privileges, the blessings of it. And be quite frank and honest, there's no country on the face of the earth that's better than the United States of America, even with our, current issues of 45. The fact that I can have a discussion with you guys over, with my absolutely beautiful iPhone and the freedom to criticize who I want and how I want, without having to worry about reprisal of the government coming in and dragging me out at gunpoint, that's freedom, man.
Yeah.
You're not finding that too many other places.
Well, with Umar, he has used it, and again, I write down, I listen to him. He uses the term African American sometimes. He uses the term African sometimes. You have to listen to him very carefully to know that he's all over the place, and he's a walking contradiction in many cases. So, I would love to talk with him. I wonder if we can get him on the show. I'm sure he's in demand.
Well, isn't that your job to kind of get people to?
He's blocked me like many people have from Twitter. So I can't contact.
Well, you know what? Why don't I give him a try?
Yeah, why don't you do that, Waz?
Yeah, that Wazzy do it. So Eugene Khalid has had the honor of being blocked by Umar on Twitter.
Tariq Nasheed has blocked me, and the young lady you were on the show with on the Roland panel, she blocked me also.
Well,
the young lady you were on the show with on the panel the other day.
Laura Victoria Burke.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I don't insult anyone. I don't. But I get blocked. I got blocked by Jonathan Capehart, Charles Blow. I mean, we'll be here for a while. I've been blocked more than Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
But hey, that's fine.
So real quick before we wrap things up, man, let everybody know what you're working on right now and all that good stuff.
Well, right now, right this second. Well, I'm actually my team, we're exploring a run for Congress this year.
All right.
We're making a final decision and announcement sometime in the fall. So stay tuned.
Now, and you can be a member of the Congressional Black Coons. Congratulations.
So are you running for the House? You're running for the House or Senate? I mean, that's far.
Yeah, the House. Yep.
Okay. Well, just remember that all you have to do is be elected 3 times, and then you'll be vested.
Yep. All it takes.
Right. So let everybody know how to.
Hopefully, I'll put it this way. The members of the CBC have done more to advance African Americans and fight systemic racism the entire Hotep community has.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
That is true.
Without question. I don't think anybody can dispute that. Let everybody know how to get in contact with you on social media and all that good stuff.
Twitter _ Eugene Craig. Facebook, Eugene Craig III, my public fan page. Those are the best ways to reach me. And, let's keep changing the world out here, folks.
All right. Hey, man, thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate having me on.